everybody, and welcome to the Faith Homestead Podcast. I'm Sarah.
And I'm Matt.
And thanks so much for joining us today. So today we're going to cover a couple things. We're going to talk a little bit more about things that we've talked into the past. Inflation continues, on, prices continue to rise. What are the steps that we're taking to become more self-reliant and more self-sustainable in an ever increasingly changing world? So if you guys could please like, share, and subscribe wherever you are listening. If you are listening to us on YouTube, please click the bell to get reminders when we post new videos. And if you are listening to us on your favorite podcast, please subscribe. So today, I was thinking the other day that we are beginning to circle back to a time when it is more valuable and more like cost effective to make things from scratch than it used to be. So for many years, I would say probably a decade plus, probably more like 2 decades plus, we lived in a time where convenience was really easy and it was really simple and really affordable to, go to a drive-through or go to the store and buy things, and then instead of making them yourself. I mean, I remember growing up, we could feed our entire family at McDonald's for $15, maybe even less. And it was actually funny, my mom met us the other day at Chick-fil-A. If you are in America, I'm sure you know what a Chick-fil-A is at this moment in time. So we met my mom for Chick-fil-A after we have a homeschool co-op on Wednesdays that we go to with our oldest son. And we met my mom for lunch, and she was going to treat us. And you can tell how often she goes out to eat and how often we go out to eat, because when we got in there, I was like, Mom, it's okay. Like, you don't need to pay. And she was like, no, is 25 good? And it took everything in me to not I was chuckling, because I was like, maybe in, 2000, 25 would have gotten us, a meal for my mom and I and the 3 little ones. But I was like, Mom, it's probably going to be more like 45. So just don't worry about it. I'll cover it. And she's like, no, it's okay. So we got to the register and it was exactly like $44.92. And she's like, wow. She's like, you knew that? I'm like, I actually don't know how I knew that, because we don't eat very often, but you just see the prices. Like, you go to the drive-thru when you're traveling with your kids and it's like $10 plus for a value meal these days. So we are officially back into a time where it is not cost effective and efficient to rely on fast food places and rely on convenience packaged food at the grocery store. Right. So because of that, this week, I follow sale ads, and it's kind of become a motto in our house. If it's not on sale, we don't buy it. We go without, unless it's a necessity that we have to have. And so this week, we were, I was, writing down all the things I wanted. I was like, man, I really miss pickles. I am kind of a snob when it comes to pickles. I really only prefer cold brined pickles that you get in your refrigerator section at your store, preferably Clausen. They're my favorite. And so I was like, but they're like $4.75 a jar right now at our local Walmart. And that is just really, it's not affordable. That's a treat in my eyes. What do you get, like 10, 15 pickle slices in a jar? To me, that's not something that we are relying on for nutrition, and that would just be something that is extra that goes with our sandwich for lunch. And so I was like, I really want pickles though, and so I was like, I'm gonna make my own. So I called the produce store that's local to us, and it is March, so it's not really pickle season, but I was like, maybe they have some pickling cucumbers, and I called. They're like, oh, actually, we just got some in. And I was like, awesome, I'll be there today. And so we went in, and I got about 15 cucumbers, little mini pickling cucumbers, and I made my own refrigerated pickles. It's the first time I've made pickles. Like we've said before, homesteading is a journey. You can start here, and every single day, every single week, you make progress to become more self-sufficient and more self-reliant, and that's kind of what we're going to talk to you about today. But real quick, the pickles have been brining and fermenting in the fridge for 24 hours, and I just burped them. So burping, here they are. They look good, right?
Look like pickles.
Yeah. So I didn't even know I had to burp them, but I was doing some research last night, because I've worked with fermentation a little bit, but I figured like it's not really fermentation, but it kind of is. And I went to just burp these in the fridge, and it was like, and I was like, okay, we're gonna make sure we burp these every 24 hours for the first week. So we're just gonna take a smell and see if it's gonna meet the Clausen requirement. I should tag them in this video and see if I've made better pickles than them.
Yeah, no affiliation.
No Clausen affiliation. So we're gonna open this and we're gonna take a little smell. Yes.
Yep.
Okay, so now
smells just like
a Clausen.
Cold brine pickles that you buy in the store.
Yeah. So so these have only been in the fridge for 24 hours. So the likelihood of them being I mean, we don't want them to be soft, but you know what the pickle's crispy, but it has a little bit of like, you're not like ripping it off to bite it. But we're gonna try
dive in.
We're gonna try just for the taste to see if because I didn't just pick a recipe. It took me like hours. Matt came in yesterday and he's like, "What are you doing? Like, didn't you start the pickles?" And I'm like, "I don't know. I have to find a recipe." So I ended up combining like 5 recipes. And I was like, we're just going to wing it. Because like some of them had dill, some of them didn't. Some of them had, pickling spice mix. Some of them didn't. Anyway, here we go. Oh, and also if you want, you can, right now, this video is going to pan out and you're going to go see my pickle video. You can come back in 4 minutes and we'll be here to test the pickles out, okay? We'll see you in a minute.
Hey guys, so today we are making homemade pickles. I literally woke up this morning and decided that I was not going to spend $5 a jar anymore on pickles. Unfortunately, I prefer the cold brine Clausen pickles that are in the refrigerated section at our store. That's just the kind of pickles that our family likes. And they are upwards of $5 now per jar, and I just can't justify that. To me, at $5 a jar, it's definitely more of a splurge than a need. So I was like, you know what, we're just going to make our own. Making pickles is not rocket science, and these are just going to be refrigerated pickles. We prefer crispy pickles, so until I find a canner recipe that will do that, we just do the cold brine. So today I went to our local produce place and asked if they had pickling cucumbers in stock. I called ahead and they said yes, they had just gotten some. So I said perfect, and I headed over there. So for this brine, I kind of combined like 4 different recipes that I found online to meet our needs. And for the brine, because we're not canning these, I decided to not use white vinegar. I decided to go with an apple cider vinegar. Just because of gut health, it's just so much better, so much more beneficial. And so I did 2 cups of apple cider vinegar, like the Bragg, the organic stuff. And I did 1 cup of pickling salt. And that was able to fill 6 quart jars after packing them full of all of this goodness. So I started with about 17 pickling cucumbers that I got. That's a rough estimate. I think it was between 16 and 18. I can't remember, so I'm just going to say 17. And then I cut them in 4s. And some of them were really big. And I did end up cutting some of them down even more just to get them to fit in the jar. I really wanted the pickles to be as packed in there as possible. I then got about 15 or so, or maybe 16 cloves of garlic, and minced those all up, and I evenly distributed them throughout the 6 jars. I have an arrow garden, and so I have fresh dill. I actually, if you see the dill right there, I actually hung that to dry yesterday and then decided I was making pickles, so I quickly took that back down this morning. It was like not dry, but also not super moist and like brand new. So it was actually perfect for the pickles. So I did roughly about a sprig and a half of dill per jar. And then I did have, my mom had gifted me with some pickling spice a few years ago, and I was gonna just make my own pickling spice, but I saw that I had this pickling spice. It was expired, but it was never opened, so I was like, you know what, we're just gonna use that. I mean, I don't know, if you're like me, I feel like spices just kind of lose their potency. They don't really expire. So I was just like, we're just going to use that. So we did add the pickling spice. I did add a little bit more peppercorns, which you'll see, just because we kind of like the extra kick that the pepper will give. So I did, here you can see them adding the pickling spice. I'm kind of interested to see, I'm going to be honest, when I opened the pickling spice, I smelled clove right away. And I was like, don't really know if I like that. But I had my husband smell, and he was like, I think that smells great. So I was like, we're going to see how it goes. I may not get the exact Clausen kind of copycat that I'm looking for because of that. But if not, the next time I will just stick to the coriander and peppercorns and garlic. So that's what we'll do next time. But we are just going with the flow here. And hey, it's not going to be terrible. So hope you enjoy. And if you have any questions, let me know. You can always email me at info@faithhomestead.com. Have a great day, guys.
Okay, so now we're back. We are going to, now that you've watched me make the pickles, we are now going to try it, okay? So keep those spices in there. So this is, I cut the cucumbers in 4, okay? So, I don't know. I don't know what's going to happen here, okay? I did read online that you shouldn't put all of your judgment in the first couple weeks. I mean, these technically
they're edible right away.
They're edible, but like they say the best is like 3 or 4 weeks down the line. So we're just gonna see. I mean, it still looks more like a cucumber than a pickle, but wow. So it's not there yet. It's still like cucumbery. But like, this is going to turn into a pickle. Try it. It's good. Mm-hmm. It's really good. So it's not exactly Clausen yet, but we're going to come back. Next week we'll do this again and we'll let you know if it's getting closer. So I was gifted, as you can see in the video. It's really good. Really good. And we're going to finish that. Not right now because like we're on video. But in the video that we just watched of me making the pickles, you saw that I used a pickling spice. Like it was already like a pre-mixed like ball brand pickling spice. I used that because I was gifted that. Like a couple years ago, I was given like some canning supplies, and I was like, it's expired. And you know me, like it's not expired. It was still sealed. Like it's just spices lose their potency, but that's pretty potent, so I don't really think it's lost much potency.
Yeah, I'd say that's really good.
It's really, I actually I'm high five. I'm like so excited right now.
That's pretty solid. It has me excited for the jalapenos we're going to do next.
It's just see, like, and this is the joy. This is the joy of self-reliance and self-sufficiency, because okay, you saw in the video, but these jars of Clausen pickles cost like, let's just say $5 at the store. I made 6 quarts for $11.50. That's $1.92 per jar. And I'm never going to buy pickles again. That's a step in self-reliance. I will never have to rely on a grocery store to ever buy pickles again. Because I was like fed up with the prices, and I was like, I'm taking the matters into my own hands. Mm-hmm. And so that's what I did. And
with the jalapenos, we've been talking about for years, we've been putting them up in the pressure canner. And they get soft. They get
and I never really knew.
They still have good flavor. They still have good heat.
But they're they're like
softer,
pickled.
Right? Yeah. So cooking with them is not really great.
I'm sorry, I'm having another bite.
The texture on them isn't really the same as when you have that little bit of crunch with your jalapeno. So I'm really excited to do that same thing with our jalapenos that we got at the store as well.
Yeah, and so like another thing to think about, you're like, oh, but you didn't can them, Sarah. Well, here's the thing. If you're like us, I probably buy a jar of pickles every 2 weeks. I mean, at least once or twice a month, I'm buying pickles at the store, because we go through them. I have pickles every single day. When I have lunch, after I put the kids to bed, I have like my half hour of quiet usually, and so I have pickles, and so like these will last for 6 months in the refrigerator. And so we do have a backup refrigerator and freezer, so we have the ability to store these. But you can also use this thing called Pickle Crisp, and you can buy that in the store, and you can add that to your hot canned food. So I'm going to try that. We're going to go to the farmer's market. Now that I know that I can make a good cold brine, I know that can be like my default, you know what I mean? And I can go and start trying to like make like a shelf-stable canned pickle and see how it works. But basically, the whole point is just the self-reliance. I got fed up and I knew that I wanted to change. And now we know that that's one item from the grocery store that we can remove from our reliance on the grocery store. So that's really exciting. And the whole thing about the pickling spice, I had stuff that was available, so I used that, but now I can fine tune it and just buy like individual spices. Like I remember opening the pickling spice last night and I was like, oh, I smell clove. I don't know if I like that. It's good. It's good. But I mean, we can always play around. So that's just something to think about.
Absolutely.
Yeah. So another thing that I want to talk to you about is St. Patrick's Day. It's on Friday. You know, if you're Irish, we just, this is like so embarrassing. But so for Homeschool Co-op on Wednesday, we had an ancestry project. And Matt and I did our, like, the DNA swabbing of our saliva a few years ago. I kind of regret that now because I feel like our DNA is, like, out there. But whatever, it is cool to know, like, your ancestry a little bit. And so we found out, I mean, I grew up thinking that I was, like, 100% Italian. And I while I am still, like, 20% Italian from Sicily, I'm, like, 30% Irish. And so is Matt. And we, like, had no idea. And so because that's our predominating, like, that was like our predominant thing on both of our ancestry reports, our DNA reports, I was like, okay, Thomas, like, we're going to do your ancestry on Ireland. And like, imagine going your whole entire life being told you are one thing, celebrating all this, and then you find out you're a whole nother thing, and you're like, okay, what? And so we went to the store, we follow the sale ads, and of course, because Friday is St. Patrick's Day, cabbage is, like, really cheap. And it was on sale at one of our local grocery stores for 29 cents a pound, limit 8 pounds. So I was like, I'm getting as many pounds. I'm going to get 8 pounds. I think I weighed it and got, like, up to, like, 780, like 7 pounds, 780. And so we got all that. And then I posted on Facebook. I was like, guys, FYI, cabbage is 29 cents at this grocery store. And my friend texted me. She's like, it's 19 cents at this grocery store. And I was like, what? So I'm going to go there today and get 8 more pounds at that grocery store because we have chickens. And it is a really fun, busy treat for them. I gave them a whole head of cabbage last night and I went there this morning and it's completely gone. They probably ate it in like 10 minutes. Like, they're crazy. But that's really good nutrition for them and it cuts down on our feed cost. And I can get cabbage for 19 cents a pound. Like, that's like 20 years ago pricing. So everybody who's saying that, like, the pandemic caused all this inflation. I am not going to say there's no inflation because there's 100% inflation right now. We just talked about how I'm making pickles now because the prices have skyrocketed. There are many things that are on sale because they're getting you to come into their grocery store. Right. There are prices right now that are pre-pandemic, pre-2000 pricing. I mean, I have never seen cabbage for 19 cents a pound. I really haven't, not in my lifetime, and I'm 37. So maybe I just wasn't paying attention to it before, but to me, that's like a really good deal. So I'm going to go to every store today and I will just get a cooler and I will put all these cabbage heads in a cooler on my porch because I don't have room in my fridge for all that. And I will just take it out and my chickens will have cabbage twice a week and for a few weeks because cabbage lasts a very long time. It's like potatoes and onions. It lasts a very long time. And if you have cold storage, there you go.
For the chickens, it doesn't have to be fresh food.
No. And it's not gonna rot,
if
but
it
like it's
starts
fine.
to go bad, the chickens will still eat it.
As long as it's not like you're not like peeling off like piles of mold. It's totally fine.
Yeah.
So that's just something to think about. Like, follow your ads. Follow your store ads. So
you're gonna cook an Irish traditional Irish meal now?
Yeah. So apparently I'm Irish. Apparently we're each 30% Irish. It's weird. I mean, hopefully we're not related or anything. Like, it's kind of crazy. But anyway, so just kidding. We're not. I'm from Northern Ireland. He's from Southern Ireland. So there you go. But yeah, so I got what's it called? The meat.
Corned beef.
So I got corned beef.
Lots of experience.
So much experience. I've never made it. I've never even had it before. But I'm going to make corned beef, and I will videotape it, and I will let you know how that goes. I don't know how it's gonna go. We'll see. But anyway, so like, you want to talk a little bit about how, like, what we're doing in our home to fight inflation? Like, what should our viewers be doing to fight inflation?
Well, yeah, I think that there's a couple things that really jumped to the forefront. Obviously, as prices continue to increase and everyone's talking about how much more everything is costing.
Yeah.
Right? And I think there's ways that we can actually combat that on a just simple decision basis, right? I have a small car that I drive for work, right? I don't have a fancy vehicle. I don't have a nice vehicle. I drive a fair amount for work.
Yeah.
I drive a small car and it's a beater car because I'm using it for work and work only, right? The kids really don't ride in the car with me. I think maybe you drove it once.
Yeah, when I have to. I'm more of a SUV truck person. So
you know, for us, it never really it never was a stressful thing. You know, car payments of $700, $800, $900 never been there. I don't know that ours added up to that when we had 2 car payments.
No, we never hit over $700. And I mean, looking back, I can't even believe my truck, when I got it, I mean, we've all been there. I mean, if you haven't been there, then I don't even think you would make it. It probably wouldn't make sense to be on our channel because you're so much more like above us. But I mean, my truck, when we got it in like 2008. I think we got it in 2000. I don't even remember when we got it, but it was like $420 a month, and we were like, why did we do this?
Yeah.
Like, why?
Couldn't imagine $700 a month. I mean, honestly, if that's a situation that somebody's in, it's like unload that thing as fast as
get rid of it. Yeah.
Break even, like maybe even lose a couple bucks.
Lose a couple grand.
Get rid of that.
It's a burden. Your car insurance and your car maintenance should not be what controls your entire life.
Right. And that's something else as well. So we have a lot of projects around the house here. I mean, we took wallpaper down off our walls 4 years ago, 3 years ago.
Yeah. Can you see it? I don't know if they might not be able to see it.
You might not be able to see the top border that was taken down as well, but
it's bad.
You know, we're going to wainscot and we're going to make
someday
a nice foyer, but we decided to start that project right as building materials shot through the roof.
Yeah.
And
we decided that paying off our debt and learning this homesteading and really getting more self-reliant took precedence over like aesthetics. So.
And I couldn't really justify in my head paying what those prices were. I mean, they're starting to come back down now.
Slowly.
We're slowly starting to see prices, you know, not come back to normal, but they're still quite above it.
Yeah.
But better than they were. And projects had to get put on hold. I wanted to put the floor in the upstairs of the garage, had to replace the flooring.
Yeah.
And that's been several years it's been waiting because $75, $80, $90 a sheet of plywood that's not going to happen.
Yeah, it's not that important to us.
Right. You know, my garage looks like a mess and it's a pain in the neck right now, but it's what it is.
Yeah, we just had people. We had church this morning, and we had a couple people come over to our house they just got baby chicks, and they wanted to see our coop set up, and they wanted to see like what we did, you know, when we got our chickens. And so I was like, so here's where we keep our chicken feed, but don't look at anything but the chicken feed because it's a mess. And it is what it is. Like, this is just reality. We had 3 kids in a very short period of time, and we've been in it. We've been in the thick of it. So now we're starting to see the light. We're starting to come out of the thick of it. And
making those, you know, true intentional decisions that we're not going to spend money right now.
Yeah.
Just because we want a project done, or just because we have that desire or that itch to have something new. It's like that money's not getting spent. You know, learning every single day, you know, trying to come away every single day with something kind of learned. Yeah. It doesn't have to be like a monumental, you know, thing that we've learned. Something small, something, you know, simple to pick up on a daily basis that helps towards the next day and the next day and the next day, building blocks of learning. And I think that learning is something that doesn't matter what the age is. You know, we have to continue to learn. We have to adapt to what's going on around us. Prices are not going to just magically come down.
They're not.
Inflation is not going to just magically come down.
No.
All right, this week we saw a bank literally just in the middle of the night gone like that.
And a lot of people have money like just it's like they're waiting in limbo.
We're on that cusp again of 2008
or worse.
You know, expecting that the government's going to bail everybody out, expecting the government's going to help control inflation. They're going to help prevent the dollar from having no value. We can't rely on everybody else for every single thing.
Yeah.
We need to be smart. We need to be intelligent. We need to be learning daily so that when this kind of stuff happens, we're not necessarily in a position where we're stressed out. We're scared. We're stressed, right? We're worried about what's happening with our banking right now. You know, is our bank next?
Yeah, we've decided that we're gonna start keeping a little bit of cash, you know, in our house because like it's it is a pretty sobering thought to think that like one day you wake up and you can't get any money at all, like $0. Like they're like your plastic does nothing, and so it would be smart to have a little bit of cash in your house on hand. But it also leads me to one more point I'd like to make, and kind of goes off what you're saying, is every day you need to make progress and take steps to self-reliance. But you also need to be strategic, because if you're like, you know, cool, I think it's a great idea to make pickles, and I'm going to make pickles this week and I'm never going to have to rely on that at the store, but you're going into a department store and you're spending, for example, you're spending $40 on a baseball glove because your kid has baseball this summer, and he needs a new bat, he needs cleats, he needs a ball bag, he needs a helmet, and he needs a glove. And you're like, well, I'll just go to the sporting goods stores and buy all that stuff. And you're spending $200+. You're not doing what you're not being strategic. So this needs to overflow into all aspects of your life. Okay. So for example, our son is actually playing like real baseball this year. This is his first year of like real baseball. And so he has to have
not really real baseball.
I mean,
but close.
it's more real than like just drills, which is what he was doing last year.
Yeah.
He's actually having games on Saturdays. He's, practicing. So he has 2 days a week this summer and the spring. But we went to the thrift store yesterday. I'm not buying new stuff. That doesn't fit with our debt payoff of all of our debt, and that doesn't fit with the self-reliance, because if I'm going and spending $200 at a sporting goods store, like when I could have spent like $15, it doesn't make sense. So I got this glove for him it was $8.99, half off, and it's perfectly his size. It's a Rawlings, is that how you pronounce that? And it's perfect. This will be his glove for this year. Maybe next year, I don't know, depending on how big his hand gets.
Probably next year as well.
This bat was $5.99. It was half off, and it's old. I mean, TPX. This is a Louisville Slugger. It's old. I mean, it's old. This is probably like, I mean, it's old. Matt said that he had the same exact bat growing up.
I did have the same exact bat.
His sister was here last night, and she's like, this actually
she
might be. She
confirmed it for me.
She's like, this might actually be our bat, and so it might be. So it might be like 30 years old. But this bat was $6. It was $3. I got it half off, so it was $3. So right there, it's like $7. How much would you have spent if you went to the store to get this new? And why would you need it new? Why do you need to get something new that is just going to get trashed anyway? It doesn't make any sense.
Play a couple of years of ball with it.
Yeah. And I texted Matt's mom, before she came. She was here this weekend as well. And I was like, hey, like if you come across any X, Y, and Z, like can you just, pick it up? And she ended up getting him a size 2 pair of cleats, and she ended up getting him a ball bag. And we ended up realizing that we had been given a helmet by our friends Eric, and we were able to have a helmet. So we spent like Mindy, I think she spent like $30, and we spent like $8. So for $38, he's outfitted for baseball for probably a few years. His feet are gonna grow. The kid it's crazy. He went from size 13 to 2 in like 3 seconds flat. But anyway, my point is you need to be strategic on all sides. You can't be, going and spending like hundreds of dollars on clothes and then like being like, well, I made my own pickles this week. I mean, sure, that's great. I mean, if you're making any steps, that's great. And this is a progressive thing. So like if you need to start learning how to change your mindset, we're here to help you do that. And that's why we reiterate this all the time. So the last thing today we want to talk about is just like the self-reliant Sunday. Is there anything that you want to talk about? So
I think that, something for me that I try on a weekly basis, but something that I really think could be great for the platform too is just challenging ourselves on a weekly basis to kind of pick up something new.
Yeah.
This past week I needed to fix a car through a check engine light, and of course the inspection's up right at the end of the month. Yeah. So that's Murphy's Law, right? If it can, it will. So end of the month, I need to get a part for the car. So put the code reader on the car, figure out what the part is that's needed by watching a YouTube video.
Yeah, and we'll link the code reader in our Amazon store because some of you might not even know what that is.
Yeah, and it's something that's great to have.
Yeah.
Especially if you're handy enough to fix your own vehicle, but also if you're not. Because if you're not, and you go into a dealership and say, I know the code that's thrown, I mean, it's really simple with a little bit of Google search, YouTube search. You're going to most likely find what's wrong. Yeah. And you're going to have an idea of A, what parts to buy, or B, how much should this actually cost when I go to the dealership. I get the part fixed. I go to yesterday to get my car inspected. Pennsylvania is awesome. Every year we need to have our cars inspected and emissions tested, and I'm not 100% sure why, but nonetheless, Lady comes in while I'm there. Battery died.
Oh.
Right. So she got it jumped. She didn't want to turn her car off. They go out and they test her battery. It's a bad battery. She paid over $300 to have them install a battery in her car yesterday.
Oh boy! And that could have literally just cost the battery and a YouTube video.
I mean, a battery
And a
replacement,
YouTube video.
$300. So challenge yourself. Learn a little bit. If you have something like that pops up, and you're not sure, ask somebody else that might know.
Yeah, and
Do
I
you
know that,
anybody that might go, hey, here's what you should do.
Yeah.
Get familiar with this
Don't
code
panic.
reader.
Don't panic.
Yeah, don't freak out. Take a breath, take that step back, analyze, look what's going on, and then say, here's what I'm going to do.
Yeah.
And it could have saved her probably $150, $200.
Yeah. Yep.
Had she just known that she needed to just go down to the auto parts store instead of coming to this place. And
and she might, and I'm pretty confident that she probably had somebody in her world day to day that could have been like, you know, hey, if I buy this battery, would you mind putting it in? If she wasn't capable of doing it herself. Right. And I understand not everybody has somebody to help you, and we understand there are situations where you have to pay the dealership. That's why they're there. We understand that. And
I think there's things at the dealership. You know, putting a timing chain or a timing belt in your vehicle, absolutely not.
Yeah.
That's not something that any person that does not actually have mechanical experience is going to do.
Sure.
But a battery, two screws?
Yeah, I probably could do it.
It's kind of ridiculous, right?
Yeah.
Let's get a little bit more uncomfortable with being way too comfortable, right? Usually I go the other way. I say, well, it's time to start getting, you know, comfortable with being uncomfortable, but the opposite today. So I think that's what we got to do, and challenge yourself this week. What can I learn this week that I maybe it's something you just find some interest in? Well,
for me, this week I ordered on, don't make fun of me, don't you say a word. So I ordered 120-year-old sourdough starter on eBay a few weeks ago. And Matt thinks it's a scam, but this is actually, a lot of people do sell, you know, heirloom sourdough starter online. And if you are a listener that has any Instagram or social media presence, you know that that's a thing, okay? So my sourdough starter has a name, but I forget what it's called. But I'm going to actually do it this week. I've had it sitting in an envelope. It's dried, obviously. It's dehydrated. So I've had it sitting in an envelope for like 3 weeks now. So I'm going to challenge myself to carve out some time this week to actually start the sourdough and not be afraid to do it, because I'm afraid I'm going to kill it. I am. So that's what I'm going to do. I'm challenging myself, and I will videotape it, and I will let you know how it goes.
Yeah.
So we thank you so much for joining us this Sunday. We hope you guys have a wonderful, blessed week, and we'll talk to you later. Bye.